Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is SportsIQ with Larry Smith.
And welcome here to the SportsIQ with Larry Smith. Good to talk with you here. It is Wednesday, December 10th. Coming to you today on the road. Usually, during the season, WNBA season always was Fridays in Atlanta. Right now, it's Wednesday morning in Columbus, Ohio. I was here last night for the Illinois-Ohio State game. A home opener, that Big Ten opener for the Illini. They get the win 88-80. We'll talk more about that game and the stars in that game and what we saw coming up here in just a bit. We've got some great conversation later, college basketball overall. Voters, are you missing the boat on Michigan? We'll talk about that. We've got a great conversation coming up. We've already talked with beat writers from Tulane and James Madison. We have another JMU analyst talking to us as well here in a few minutes here. Producer Tony catching up with Catie Harper, who's a JMU beat writer. Love what they have done right now. And again, I know people like, oh, the best teams aren't in, whatever. Listen, these are the rules. These are the 12 teams in. Top 5 conference champions. They're one of the 5. Get in there. See what happens next week. We will find out. We'll talk with her in a few minutes. Also, a great conversation that we teased last week. We have the coach of a team, high school team in Minnesota that has not won a football game this century. And yet they keep at it. They keep at it. They keep going. And it's a great story behind kind of the reasons why this team goes out there every Friday night, even though they have not gotten success on the scoreboard. That's coming up. Great conversation. Can't wait for that. Let's get to our headlines right now. A big night Tuesday on the hardwood for the college game. Madison Square Garden, always the mecca of the basketball world. All the greats have played there. And now that includes star BYU freshman A.J. DeBonsa. He scored 22 of the 28 points for the Cougars in the second half to help lead BYU back from a 22-point deficit to beat Clemson in the Jimmy V Classic at MSG. The Cougars built a 6-point lead late in the last 70 seconds, but lost it. Needed a 3-pointer from Robert Wright at the buzzer, and it was an amazing shot to beat the Tigers 67-64. In the nightcap, solo ball. 19 points. Number 5, UConn, earning its 4th victory over a ranked opponent already this season, beating number 18 Florida Gators 77-73. Boy, the Gators, defending champs, it's something else. That's what they've, this year they're already like 4 losses, but they're all like the really good teams. Like they played just a fantastic schedule. And they still have the SEC schedule coming up as well. So the Gators taking their lumps, but again, they fall last night to a very, very good Huskies team. By the way, that game featuring the last 3 NCAA champions, back-to-back wins by UConn and then Florida last year. We mentioned Illinois, number 13, getting the win 88-80 in Columbus. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. In Ann Arbor, Elliot Cadeau, 15 of his 18 points in the first half. Michigan building a 30-point lead, and the second-ranked Wolverines coasting to an 89-61 win over Villanova. The unbeaten Wolverines, 9-0, the only team since at least the 1995-96 season to win 6 straight games by at least 25 points, with at least 2 of those victories against ranked opponents. That's according to Sport Radar. We'll talk more about what Dusty May is doing in Ann Arbor a bit later on in the show. Around Major League Baseball, the Dodgers, the reigning 2-time World Series champions, have landed the top closer in the free agent market, former Mets closer Edwin Diaz, joining LA on a 3-year contract that's worth $69 million. The winter meetings, usually a hotbed of activity on the trade front, have been surprisingly quiet so far. No major deals struck, but that could change at any moment. One thing that did happen at the winter meetings was the MLB draft lottery on Tuesday. If you're a White Sox fan, a little good news yesterday, and there hasn't been much lately. The White Sox, the highest odds at 27.7%, won the number 1 overall pick in next summer's draft. It'll be Chicago's first number 1 selection since taking Hall of Famer Harold Baines in 1977. And their 3rd number 1 pick overall. By the way, the other number 1 pick for the Pale Holes was Danny Goodwin back in 1971. All right, NBA quickly for you. Jalen Brunson, 35 points. Josh Hart, 21. The Knicks advancing into the NBA Cup semifinals for the first time in 3 tries by beating the struggling Raptors 117-101 on Tuesday night. Karl Anthony Towns, 14 points, 16 rebounds for the Knicks, who will face Orlando in the semifinal round at Las Vegas on Saturday. All right, producer Tony has our first guest.
Well, thanks so much, Larry. And, it's just a little over a week from Friday when the playoff system begins. It starts rolling with our first game that Friday night. One of the interesting games in that first round is going to be the matchup of James Madison going out to Eugene, playing Oregon. Always a tough place to play. And we're lucky enough today to be joined by Catie Harper. She is a James Madison beat reporter for the Daily News Record. Catie, thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's talk a little bit about what's going on at JMU. First, kind of take us back to Sunday when the announcement was made. What was the feeling there among the players, among the coaches of getting this opportunity in the college football playoff?
Yeah, I think it was one that they were fairly confident that they had played themselves into that spot of being selected. That said, I think they were still erring on the side of caution a little bit. It wasn't a public watch party. It was just for the team. So, I mean, for me, like I watched it in my apartment and I ran out the door to get to media availability right after. But by the time I pulled up at their facility, guys were getting out of their team meeting. They were revving engines, honking horns, like running around campus, just kind of having the most fun. I know we found out after the fact, too, that some of the guys ended up on the quad Saturday night after the Duke game. And so I think they were all fairly confident it was going to happen, but kind of seeing that reaction on Sunday once it was official, it was pretty cool to see just because I think these guys I honestly probably since that Louisville loss at the second week of the season maybe didn't think that this was going to be an opportunity because you had to have so many other pieces fall into place where you needed the ACC to maybe blow up their own chances of getting in. And that's what happened. But it was definitely something where I think it was maybe a relief after all of the work that they had put in.
Your coach, Coach Chesley, is going to be moving on to UCLA once this is over with, once this ride is over with. We saw another school, Ole Miss is in the playoff. They told their coach, we're not going to let you coach for the playoff. They told Lane Kiffin, if you're going to be the LSU coach, go be the LSU coach. What was different? Why do you think James Madison decided to let him coach here now and get through this playoff before moving on to UCLA?
I do think it helped that they're obviously not in the same conference and they're never really going to see each other. But on top of that, when Bob Chesney was hired a couple of years ago at JMU, it was under JMU's former athletic director, Jeff Bourne. And I do think there was maybe a little bit of hurt with how the Kurt Signetti departure went down and the fact that he left before they made it to their first bowl game. And so it was in Bob Chesney's first contract that he wouldn't leave until the end of a competition season. And that was apparently something that he was very eager to have in his contract as well. He has always been over the last 2 years that I've been around this program with him leading it. He has always been very much for the players and making sure that the focus stays on them, even when all of the rumors started circulating that he was going to be on the way out. And I mean, all of us kind of knew it was going to happen at a coach of his level at the G5 level. It's kind of bound to happen. But he always said, like, this is the 2025 team. This is where the focus is. We'll talk about the 2026 season when 2026 comes. So we talked to JMU's athletic director, Matt Roan, the other night, and he said it wasn't really a hard sell to UCLA either. It was very much, hey, you need to go finish what you started here. And it seemed like everybody was very much okay with that.
That's great. I think that's great for the student athletes to get to have their coach throughout this playoff experience. You don't often get that experience, right? If you're a college athlete, and this could be something pretty special. Looking at the matchup with Oregon, Eugene, tough place to play. Going to be 80, 90,000 screaming ducks in the place, probably a few thousand James Madison folks trying to keep up with them. What is going to be some of the keys, do you think, for James Madison in this matchup with Oregon?
I think the biggest thing is the offense needs to protect the football, and they've done a fairly good job of it this season. It was something that they actually struggled with against Troy in the Sun Belt Championship game with a couple turnovers. But I think that's going to be the biggest thing in making sure they're not taking pre-snap penalties when they are in that kind of environment with the noise. That is going to be something completely different. They had that Louisville game, but I don't even think that's going to compare to what they'll experience at Oregon. But I will say JMU has an older team, so there are some guys that have been in these games where they play a Power 4 school and have that experience. So I think that will help. And I do think If the offense can protect the ball, I think the defense likes to go out and make some plays when they get the opportunity, and I think that has been seen time and time again. But yeah, protecting the football and making sure that they're not jumping on offensive drives and getting kind of too caught up in the environment. I think those are going to be two critical things for this team.
Yeah, it's going to be a game where they need to, I would think, looking at it from an outsider's perspective, just looking at the two teams, that somehow JMU needs to shorten this game. Make that clock needs to keep rolling. The best way to do that, obviously, is running the football. Your quarterback's a good runner. You've got a great running back in Wayne Knight. Not the Wayne Knight some of you people out there are thinking about. It's not Newman. That's not their running back. Forget that. Wayne Knight, the running back, JMU. That's who we're talking about. How do they do that? How can they move that ball? How do they keep that ground game going? Do they include some different trick plays in it? Or do they just say, look, we're going to play power football and we believe we're strong enough to move you off the line of scrimmage?
They haven't really turned to too many trick plays this season. The last one I can really remember was the first offensive play against Louisville, and it didn't work out. It was an incompletion by the wide receiver, but it was also the same play that they had started the UNC game with a year earlier, which I think everybody remembers that 70-50 score, which is absurd. But I think it almost needs to be that kind of performance again, where the offense just kind of throws anything at the wall and sees what stick. But with, like you said, running the football, JMU does have an older offensive line that has had some continuity with guys playing around each other, and they've stayed relatively healthy. And then people will also see there is one true freshman on that offensive line, and they'll be like a little eye-catching that a freshman is playing, but he is very, very good. So that obviously helps. And then Alonzo Barnett at quarterback and Wayne Knight are both older guys who understand how to kind of move the ball around. And I think they're both very skilled, found their way into the season, especially if anybody has only tuned into one JMU game and it was that JMU Louisville game. It was not a great night for the offensive line, and it wasn't a great night for Alonzo Barnett, but I think it's a very different team now. Alonzo Barnett was coming off a serious knee injury, and he probably wasn't at 100% when he was playing in that game, and I think we're seeing it now where he is feeling very, very comfortable in the pocket, feeling very comfortable when he needs to take off and run. And Wayne Knight, first 1,000-yard rusher for JMU since 2019, and it happened. He had a 73-yard touchdown run in the championship game. His first contact was at the line of scrimmage, and then he was hit again 5 yards down the field, and then he still broke free for 73 yards. And he is kind of bouncy and slippery, and he's 5'7", and for some reason people can't get him on the ground.
Well, that's going to be key. I really think that is one of the keys, is like shortening that game, limit the amount of times Oregon has the football, because they're a very explosive offense. Your defensive line is going to be tasked with kind of slowing that down, putting some pressure, make Dante Moore feel uncomfortable in that pocket. Do they have the inside rushers that can put pressure inside, and do they have the speed to get around outside to make that happen?
I think they definitely have the speed on the outside. Sayer West is a redshirt freshman, and he just I was actually writing about him before we got on this Zoom. He had the best game of his career against Troy last week, and he is fast. He will be anywhere he needs to be on the field. I think the biggest thing is they're going to want to get Emmanuel Bush back at nose tackle. He was out for the championship game. He is just a big guy that will eat up anybody that tries to run through him. So that's going to be the big thing for this defense. And it's kind of a defense by committee. If you look at their stats, there aren't any that are like popping out in terms of, number of sacks, which is a little bit different than the history of JMU. There's always like one or two guys that has kind of this eye-catching sack count, and this group has just kind of been rotating through and stayed relatively healthy. So I think the speed will be there, a lot of it because of how they've coached this group to have a couple different guys kind of take a load one game and then maybe not have it as much the next.
When you look at everything that's going to have to kind of work in JMU's favor to win this ball game, can they make some plays downfield? Do they have the weapons to be able to stretch that Oregon? Because the best thing about having a run game is maybe people kind of creep closer to the line. So if they're dropping 9 in the box, 8 in the box, does that leave somebody over for 1-1? Who would be the one person in that JMU mindset that you think can make some big plays downfield?
Yeah, they have them. Alonzo Barnett throws a beautiful deep ball, but they are coming off a game where they just could not catch the football. Like it was, and I don't know if it was the cold because it was cold and snowing. I don't know if it was that, but it seemed like balls were hitting guys in hands and it was just hitting the ground right after. But if that is not the case and they can connect on some of these deep balls, I think recently it's been Alonzo Barnett to Nick DeJaneiro, who they've really, really found this good connection. And he's had a couple long touchdown passes. Landon Ellis is a really big receiver that was banged up the last couple of weeks of the regular season, but he played in the championship game. He's someone that can make some plays downfield if needed. And then even in the slot, Jalen Sanchez is an experienced wide receiver that he's speedy and he can make some plays and make some people miss. But I think just talking with Coach Chesney this week, the pass game is where they want to see the most improvement because of just what happened against Troy. And I think they ended with only 98 yards through the air. And a lot of that too is because they were able to run the ball. But that's something that they're going to need a more balanced attack, I think, if they want to stay in this game.
You mentioned earlier when Curt Cignetti left and it didn't really sit well with some folks. Coach Chesley is going out to UCLA. Is there any worry? Last time when Coach Cignetti did leave, he rated the JMU. Not that it was all him, but some players wanted to go with him to Indiana, and he took a lot of personnel with him to Indiana. Any thoughts about will that happen again here with Coach Chesley going out to UCLA?
Yeah, I've actually talked with some of the other media members. We're certain that people are going to enter the portal. I don't know how much of that is going to be them entering the portal and then heading out to the West Coast. And a lot of it too is just stemming from that is a major, major move and culture shock for some of these guys. And I think that there are probably some guys that could enter the portal and they could end up at a UVA or a Virginia Tech with James Franklin. So I think there's going to be that portal exit just naturally at the group of five level, but I'm not sure how much of it is going to be to UCLA specifically. And I don't even know how much Chesney and his staff are going to take that approach that maybe Cignetti did, because I don't know. That one was just a little bit crazy watching it happen 2 years ago. And this one, I think people are going to enter the portal. I just don't know if there are going to be a lot of guys that are looking to move across country because it is a very strong presence between, Massachusetts down into Florida on this football team.
So when you look at those possibility of that change, the neat thing about the group of five, it's almost like if you think back to Maryland, Baltimore County knocking off Virginia, finally a 16 got through and beat that one.
Mm-hmm.
And we all remember the stories that came out of that. And it was just, there's something about a basketball team that the underdog that wins that game against that high powered. What would it mean around that area to knock off an Oregon and say, look, the group of five is here. We're not going anywhere.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what Harrisonburg would be like that night. Like Harrisonburg as a city may get the benefit of students being on being on break, because I grew up a Philadelphia fan, so I can see it being like Philadelphia after a Super Bowl, because right now I think JMU fans that I'm seeing on social media are just kind of so happy to be included and so excited to see that this team that is 12-1 and kind of battled some adversity is in this point. So for them to win against Oregon, I think it would be, I don't think people would hear the end of it from JMU fans for a while. They like their social media and I think they would talk about it quite a bit, but it definitely would be a big moment, I think, for the group of five as a whole too. I think there would be some other fan bases that would be pretty excited to see that kind of level of win just in any of these group of five conferences.
Last question before I let you go. If you had one stat out there that you were going to look at, that you were going to watch hard in this game, if there's a number that you say, if we're doing this offensively, if we're doing this, if we get to this number, whether it's rushing yards, passing yards, we got a shot in this game. What number would that be?
Gosh, offensively, um, trying to weigh it now with like the previous game. I think if they can get into the 250 range for passing, should be at least a little hopeful, because I think at that point you're believing that Wayne Knight was still Wayne Knight on the ground and he can get involved in the passing game as well. So I think that is a number that maybe could help. I would also almost go defensively. If they can hold Oregon, oh gosh, to like 350 yards of total offense, that could be a very good day for them, because this year they've only given up 300 yards or more twice, I believe. So that's kind of where I would see that number being good defensively as well.
Okay, let's look for that, folks. We want to see this game played into low offensive numbers, probably a lower scoring game. James Madison would have a shot in something like that. Catie Harper, thank you so much. Daily News Record, JMU beat writers. Appreciate your time. Check her out online. Give her a follow on social media. And if you're a JMU fan, let's see what happens next weekend and how this game plays out. We really appreciate you taking the time and joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll be right back on the Sports IQ. Larry's going to get us caught up about some exciting, interesting stats in the world of college basketball when we come back.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. That's 800-215-0341.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Talked about here at the top of the show, coming to you from Columbus, Ohio today, was here last night for the Illinois-Ohio State game. First off, Bruce Thornton is a bucket. Oh my goodness, this guy. I think Illinois Big Ten coaches, they may give like a little, retirement gift to this guy as he makes his tour around the league this season. I mean, he was unbelievable. He's been kind of an Illinois kid. He hasn't had a lot of success. Like the Ohio State only 1-4 against Illinois coming into last night in Thornton's career, but he's had 3 20-point games against Illinois. Saved his best for last night. 24 points in the first half. At one point, he had 9 field goals. The rest of the team had only 3 with like 2 minutes to go in the half. 24 points in the first half. That was already his best ever against Illinois. 34 points in the game. 4 shy of his career record he set earlier this year against Purdue Fort Wayne. Illinois, 13th team in the country, the ranked team in the country, gets the win 88-80. The big story for this Illini team are the freshmen. We talked about Brad Underwood bringing in all these guys from the Balkans. It's a kid from Kansas now making a lot of buzz. You'd never heard of Keaton Wagler, but you've heard of him now. And you may have heard of David Merkovich. He got some attention, was in that Hoop Summit out in Portland with all the top incoming players. He was, Dame Sarr was a guy. The Boozer kids were there. Merkovich was a part of this, and kind of a junior Jokic game, if you will, coming in from Montenegro. These two guys are really impressive. Wagler had 23 points, played 39 minutes, a team high 5 assists. Merkovich 22 points, had 4 3-pointers, 9 rebounds. He had a 2020 game earlier this year against Colgate. Here's what's amazing about these two. In the country, there are 7 freshmen right now who all average at least 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Some of the names are pretty obvious. Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson, A.J. DeMonta, Koa Pete. Illinois has 2 of those 7 freshmen in Wagler and Merkovich, and this is why they're so excited right now in Champaign. Illinois Big Ten opening win last night, and they'll host a 23rd ranked Nebraska on Saturday. So let's watch them and see where they go from here. Brad Underwood's got something cooking there with all the guys. By the way, after the game, Merkovich getting teased by some of the other Balkans, the Ivicic brothers shouting at him in Serbian and disrupting his little press conference in the hallway there outside the locker room. If you get a chance, look it up. It's pretty funny. Another story out of the Big Ten last night was Indiana just beating down Penn State, 113-72. This was really ugly. But the story here, Lamar Wilkinson had an Indiana school record 10 3-pointers, 44 points on the night. You thought Thornton had the big night in the Big Ten. Wilkinson said, no, hold my beer. Now, Wilkinson, you may recall earlier this year, he made our moment of all when he transferred from Sam Houston State and got his NIL bag to go play for the Hoosiers. One of the things he did was he donated some of his NIL money back to the Sam Houston State program. How cool is that? So this kid giving in a lot of ways, making an impact there with Indiana. They were ranked briefly before they got beat against Louisville and Indianapolis last week. We'll see if the Hoosiers can get it done in the Big Ten. They looked pretty good last night. All right, still to come, a fantastic story. We talked to a high school coach up next whose team has not won a game this century. Intriguing story. And that's next on the Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
You know, one of the things that we like to do here in Sports IQ is sometimes we run across really cool stories. And producer Tony found this, a story, ran across this, and this was a gentleman we wanted to talk to. It's a story of the football team on the Red Lake Indian Reservation. The story, and we'll get with the coach here in a moment, says they have only 12 kids that are on the team. You need 11 to play, right? at one time on the field. Yeah, they only have 12. This is a team that unfortunately has not won a game since 1999. But that doesn't matter because what's going on with this team is goes far beyond the football field. And so joining us now, the coach of the team is Nolan Desjarlait joining us. Nolan, great to have you. Welcome to Sports IQ.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's an honor, Larry.
Appreciate it. We'll talk about this team. You've been the coach now for a number of years. Kind of explain to us, you were saying before we came on, this is over on the Red Lake Indian Reservation, and you guys are about 100 miles south of the Canadian border. Am I getting that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Tell us about just overall the reservation and just kind of lay the groundwork for us there. What's going on in the town?
Red Lake Reservation is a closed reservation. There is two of them in the U.S. that are currently closed reservations. We have our own sovereignty here. We have over 17,000 enrolled members in Red Lake. That 10,000 live on the reservation, and there's several thousand live throughout U.S.
Wow. Okay. So when you say it's closed, explain what does that mean?
That means we have our own police department. We have our own generating stores, casinos. We don't have like resorts or anything like the other reservations. What is here is ours. We don't share with nobody.
Okay. So you're really, so like you said, you're sovereign. I mean, you're on your own town, your own government, your own municipalities, those kinds of things are all yours and not belong to the government.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Talk about the history of the football team. Obviously, sports, a big part of all of our communities. You've been a part of this program for a long time. Tell us how this came to pass.
I became the AD in 2007. When I took over the AD spot, I wanted to find out where we were in our football programs. One of my main objective was, when I first became the AD, was to get all of my teams in a conference, because we weren't in a conference. Like for football, back before I got here, we had a good football programs all the way until the year 2000. Once our boys basketball team starts making it to state, a lot of the parents are like, "Hey, you guys don't play football here. You're going to get hurt for basketball season coming up." So everybody still goes on with that myth. You play football, you're going to get hurt. No, it's not really that case. It's really a mindset. Are you prepared? Are you prepared for football? Are you prepared for basketball? I tell them, if you play football, it does prepare you for basketball, conditioning wise, eligibility wise, because you have kids who would just show up on November and ready and want to win the state title when realistically the training starts when your season ends last year.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's been a basketball power now for a number of years.
Yes. And like I said, when I first took in 2007, We had coaches in play, ready to go. We were a week away from our first. It was a JV game. We were a week away, and the coaches both resigned. So it left me trying to find coaches. Nobody wanted to do it. Nobody was interested. And since I'm the AD, I had to fill in the spot. So it didn't matter to me because before the AD spot, I was the junior high football coach. And we had good numbers throughout the program.
Yeah. So is that, are you the story here is a few months old and it mentions only 12 players on the team. Is that still accurate? Have you been able to recruit some more numbers to help out?
Oh, yes, we do have more numbers. A ballpark number, we say we get like 18 kids. This year we started off with 44 kids at the top of the season, and then once the season started moving along, kids didn't want to play. Bigger schools that we do play because we have double A's, single A schools. We are a single A school.
So you mentioned that, but still to have even 18 is a quantum leap from having 12. I mean, still not ideal. It's hard to do
it's
scrimmage, but it's still better.
Yeah, I would say, whatever they give you, you got to go with it, or you're just gonna quit and fold. That's me. Not in my mindset. Quit and fold is not part of my vocabulary.
Yeah. What's it like being a part of? I assume, did you play football as a youth in your life?
Yeah, I played football, baseball, basketball, whatever is fun at the time. I was always playing.
Yeah. Now, are you from that area or another part of the country?
No, I'm born and raised in Red Lake Reservation.
Okay. So you're
hometown.
Right there. Okay.
Yeah, homegrown.
Yeah. So you've seen all that. How frustrating is it for you to go out there every Friday night, knowing you're shorthanded and knowing that you're going to have to depend on the guys to play a whole 32 minutes with very little substitutions?
It does get frustrating, but it's either you want to go play the game that the kids like and love, or do you want to stay home and take the L and just not even try to make an effort to go win a football game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just pretty much try to keep the fire lit underneath the kids. I just say, if you guys want to go this week, let me know. If you guys really don't want to go, I hear you. I feel you. We can just forfeit that game, and hopefully we get some players for the next game. But most of the kids don't want to go home on a Friday night. They'd rather come hang out and go play football with their classmates. Mm-hmm. Football under the lights. We have brand new stadium lights here in Red Lake. We just got the brand new scoreboard, also digital scoreboard. Nice. So the recruitment for football players, it's there. We just need more kids to come participate. Like right now, I am the basketball coach, and we do have 42 kids that are out for basketball. Mm. And if we ever mixed our basketball and football kids together, we would have around 60 to 70 kids on the team, practicing, getting along with each other. But it's stepping stones.
Yeah, baby steps. Well, you're staying right there with it, and great determination, and your will. I know is going to make this turn around and get more kids out there. For those kids who do stick with this, and 12 at one time, 18 right now, hopefully more in the future, what do you think they take away that the other students who have an opportunity that choose not to do this, that maybe they don't get?
Well, we do get a lot of I get more football recruitment emails, letters for football players than I do basketball.
Wow.
And I tell the kids, they say, hey, here's your chance to get a scholarship and move off the res and go see the real life. Once you get out in the real world, you kind of understand, there is more life than here in Red Lake.
Yeah. And do you feel like the kids, I know you've had, like I said, get some recruiting mail. Where have some of your kids gone on to play college ball?
I went over at Deep River College, Northern Community College. He's a lineman over there. It was probably my first year coaching. He was a freshman. He played all 4 years with me. He never missed practice. Very coachable. He understood the game. He was a very good recruiter for me when I started. He was a very friendly kid. Very friendly.
Mm-hmm. What do you think this has meant to the community? Do you get a decent crowd coming out? Do you get some community support for what you're trying to do with football?
We get community support. When we do have home football games, there's a lot of family that are there to watch their kids play. Also, aunties, uncles, grandma, grandpa is all the way down the line. It's a good atmosphere to be in.
Yeah, it seems like it sounds like what you're describing is a very familial situation. A lot of history there, like people like yourself who have been there for generations. Just the history of the reservation. What do you think? What that means to not just the players, but the community as well? Because I know that they're obviously clearly very aware of what you're trying to accomplish and your passion for this.
Hmm. Um, they see what I do. I'm trying to get like flag football for the elementary boys. It takes because I do the practice from 3:30 to 5 with my varsity, and then would have the elementary kids coming right after that. And some once in a while, my varsity players would hang out and help me get it organized and go from there. They were really big helps, and hopefully, if we get some community members who like to come out and volunteer and help us, that would be a big plus.
Yeah,
Because
talking here.
I receive a lot of criticism here, like you guys can come out and help me if you want to.
Exactly. There's plenty of room, plenty of work to be done. Speaking
Yes,
of, okay, so you're the athletic director, you're the football coach, you're the basketball coach. Do you have a
baseball
family?
coach.
A baseball coach too? Do you have any
Yeah.
free time, or do you have a family?
No, I do have a family. I'm a girl dad. My daughter, she's the head coach here at Red Lake High School girls basketball. She
Okay.
graduated from Hibbing Community College along with Chicago Concordia University.
Okay.
She's going for degree number 3 at BSU at Bemidji State University. And I
Okay.
have 3 other daughters. Skylar, she's in 7th grade. She's now starting middle school hoops. And I have Emerald, she's in 4th grade. She's a baller. We call her MJ. My youngest is Asia. She's daddy's girl. She wherever I go, she goes. And then last but not least, my son, he passed away 10 years ago. He would have been a phenomenal athlete. Way better than I was. So
Yeah.
and as far as for doing anything, I don't ice fish, I don't hunt, I don't have time for that. It's everybody's favorite time here, but my favorite time is being in a gym, nice and quiet, getting some shots up, going with some instructions with my kids, other kids, and we do have like basketball community events every now and then, so we get kids to come out and check it out. And I am also the community director also, so I wear a lot of hats in the school.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. It sounds like this is a passion. Aside from that, you have so much going on. Like you said, you're a girl dad, a lot of things happening in your personal life. Why do you continue to do this on this level? And it sounds like work at this 365 a year.
Oh, I love it. It keeps me chill, keeps me sane. Put it that way. I love working with the kids. They love working with me. Their parents. I know that I coach a lot of the parents of the kids I have now. So I do feel old. I am 51, going on 52. Uh, I love to play sports still. I play at softball pretty much every weekend when I can. League nights, basketball. I have slowed down a little bit. The basketball game is getting too fast for me. Golf. I never tried golf before. Never in my life. I won't ever do it either.
I was going to say that there's always time, maybe.
Yeah, there is time, but I do like the idea of frisbee golf. I've
Okay.
seen that before. So we do have some courts in Bemidji with the frisbee golf. We can go throw the frisbee, enjoy a good walk on in the woods, see some eagles. Who knows?
Nice, nice. Well, as we started off, it's been a long time since the program, the Warriors, since they have won a game. If you got to win on the football field, and one day it's going to happen, how do you think you'll react?
Me been through so many games, win, lose. I just take it. just be humble about it. I'm not going to jump for joy or just raise my hand, and just like any other victory, just keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know the kids will like it more than I do. The whole program will, but that is their program. They're the kids of the program. Like I always tell them, this is your school, your program. I'm just here to help you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Very quickly, I know there is a film that was out earlier this year called Through the Storm that someone did on your team. Can you tell us about that and where people who might be interested could see that?
Through the Storm right now, it is currently on YouTube. You just click up Through the Storm and you'll see our documentary on there. We had Voyager film crew. Charles Frank came up. Mr. Fritz came up. The producers. They did a really good job of coming to see the kids themselves. They didn't really. I'm glad they did more with the kids than rather on the headline itself.
Uh-huh.
You see more about the kids, a little bit of what I do in there also, and you'll see some. We had a very. It was almost like a monsoon, or it was just storming, raining hard. So when you guys do watch the film, you'll see the rain and what kind of conditions we do play in. Okay. Sometimes we do have snow on the ground when we play.
Okay.
Like several years ago, the last game we had, there was 6 inches of snow on the field, and the field was just plowed, just the 10, the 20, the 30, and the out of bounds. It was a fun time. It was a fun time. It was something you see like on NFL games. I was like, hey, they got snow over there, and then actually to play in it too. It was the kids had fun that were there, that played with it, in it. I'll never forget it though. It was fun.
I bet. Well, Nolan, we've taken up about 15 minutes of your time here. There's probably a team waiting for you to go coach them. So we will let you go. Man, great to talk with you. I appreciate your spirit and your passion, and we'll be rooting for you to have success. You're already having success in life with these young men, but we look forward to you getting that W on the board and allowing them to celebrate it in a very special way.
Yes. Thank you. When it comes, it comes. We don't, like I always said, don't wait for something when you know it's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Sir, thank you so much for your time. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, thank you. Nolan Desjarlait once again joining us. He is the head coach of many sports, not just football, the Red Lake Warriors. They're in the Red Lake Indian Reservation in northern Minnesota, looking for that win, but already succeeding and getting lots of victories in life up there as well with the young people that he works with. Okay, it's a Sports IQ. We've got more to come after this. Producer Tony here, joining me now to talk a little more college basketball. Tony, let's start first with Michigan. Arizona, the new number one. Look, the Wildcats are deserving, but you and I have been saying for several days now, past couple of weeks, we're not sure that Michigan's getting the respect that they're due. I mean, they are destroying teams right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the voters are looking at Michigan's games. I don't know if they're happening too late in the evening for them to see them, or they're just not tuned in. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Arizona. We want to make Arizona number one. That's great. It's early enough in the season. There's so much basketball yet to be played, and they have beaten 4 ranked teams. But Michigan went to a tournament and played the 3 best games I think I've ever seen by winning, their average margin of victory over 3 games playing 2 ranked teams is 35 points. That's ridiculous. Teams don't do that, especially at this time of year. Then they come back and they start, playing again back home. They're playing Villanova at home. Now, Villanova's not a trash team. Villanova's a solid basketball. Just drilled them last night. It wasn't even competitive after halftime. I think the Wolverines need some more respect. They have got a well-rounded roster that plays well together, and Dusty May is showing that what he did in Florida was no fluke. This guy can flat out coach. I think we're looking at the next great coach in college basketball in Dusty May at Michigan.
Yeah. I had a conversation with some friends of the day talking about that there's a void now in terms of who the super coaches are. Like we're waiting for those guys to step up. In recent years, Krzyzewski retired, Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, Jim Larinaga. Tony Bennett won a title. He's got Jay Wright, 2 titles. And so we're waiting for Leonard Hamilton to step down. We're waiting for this next group, right, of super coaches to come in. And he could be one of them. Nate Oates is one. Keep in mind that in this decade, there are only 2 programs that have gone to multiple Final Fours. 2 in this decade. That's Houston, Kelvin Sampson, who's at the end of his career. And then, of course, Dan Hurley. So Hurley's right there. UConn's your new blue blood. Sorry, Kentucky, North Carolina. It is what it is. And then you're right. Dusty May could be the next one. He took this Michigan team that was a shambles, right, when he picked it up. And I think got him into Sweet 16 last year, I believe. So, and they're even better this year. It's really frightening. Speaking of, Arizona could be one of those too. Tommy Lloyd has taken that international recruiting that he took when he was an assistant at Gonzaga, has brought it there. Koa Pete is one of the freshmen I talked about earlier. That's a very special group of 7 freshmen. And he's right on one of my favorite players. Just fantastic, the impact he's made on this Arizona team early on.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a game that transcends, right? He can do it all. He can put it on the floor. He can spot up. He moves without the basketball. He makes it easy for people to find him as he gets open, and he distributes as well. So, I mean, when you've got players like that are 5-tool players that can do every phase, you're going to have a good team. The more of those, and some of these freshmen are just really, really impressive. The kid at BYU has shown me so much so far in the early part of the season. You just don't expect that. I think the last great BYU player we talked about in the sports world was Sean Bradley, and that was 30-something years ago, right? So, but this kid is really, really impressive as well, and it's nice to see them doing it. By the way, the comment about Michigan, I want our listeners to understand that when I'm talking about a Michigan coach being probably the next great coach, as a Notre Dame fan, that really pains me, by the way. Just want to make people aware of that. Like,
so that's how good he is. Because
that's how good he is. Like, I'm willing to say he's going to be one of the next great coaches. And for me to get that sentence out without my tongue slipping off its rollers was really hard.
It was like you were guzzling vinegar there. He's really going to be really great. Yeah, exactly. No, you're exactly right. And by the way, I applaud you for fighting through that pain to speak those words. And I you're a trooper, and much love to you. Absolutely. So yeah, but I agree with you about Michigan, about Arizona. And then the other coach too, I think that deserves some credit. Look, I have gone through the years, not that I'm trying to diss Mike Krzyzewski, but Mike Krzyzewski assistants would take head coaching jobs, as assistants want to do. I mean, that's across the board, but they would not go to the small school nearby. They were jumping from his bench to Stanford, to Marquette, to Seton Hall. I mean, they were taking other Power 5 jobs, right? And yet, despite all of that, none of them had ever reached the Final Four on their own until last year at John Shire. And what he has done, taking over from Mike Krzyzewski, now I'm sure Coach K is still there, lurking around, but he's still the one calling the shots. And what he has done last year, going to the Final Four, and a team this year looks like they are primed again to win it's a watered down ACC. But Duke is putting up a Gonzaga type of non-conference schedule, as they need to make sure they have enough resume points built up to get that number 1 seed. They look as strong as anybody in the country right now, reloading once again with some star freshmen.
Yeah, and again, and the 2 freshmen that they brought in, the Boozer brothers, are playing great basketball. And that's a testament to Shire to be able to get those freshmen ready, to be able to compete at a high level right out of the gate. You don't see a lot of growing pains among Shire's freshmen. You didn't see any growing pains with Cooper Flagg last year or Con Knipple. They came in, did the job, were well-versed. I think, as an assistant, he was picking up the right things from Coach K somewhere along the lines, because you see the same things in those teams. K's teams didn't need a lot of time to get ready. Once they hit the ground running in November, they were good. And you're seeing that same thing out of these Duke teams. And they're playing great basketball. They're playing great team basketball, very unselfish, very giving. They play great team defense. So he's sticking to those Duke principles that got them to the pinnacle of this sport.
Yeah, I think these 3 teams certainly have to be right there at the top of your list if you're placing your bets in terms of who's going to be playing in the final weekend. If they don't make the Elite 8, it's because somehow they knocked one another out in an earlier round or something, but they are, no question, 3 of the top 8 teams, if not, again, the top 3 teams in the country, those 2. A lot of basketball, though, to be played. Okay, our moment of awe is up next.
Fans of big sports radio and sports spectacular podcasts have a new home on the Chief Sports Network. Find your favorite programs and content all in one place by downloading the Chief Sports app in your mobile device. Created in South Carolina, the Chief Sports Network is the home of an expanding network of live and podcast format programming. It is also the home of one of the leading national college football podcasts, JC and Morgan, hosted by ESPN's Mike Morgan and 24/7 Sports' JC Sherbert. Download the Chief Sports app for free and find all of your favorite programming under one easy umbrella. Thanks to all of our markets for your loyal support of Big Sports Radio and our Sports Spectacular podcast, and we look forward to connecting with you anywhere in the world on the Chief Sports app.
Time now for a moment of awe, and we go to Time Magazine, the 2025 Athlete of the Year, who is, drumroll please, A'ja Wilson, the WNBA superstar. Get this. This season, she was the fastest to get to 5,000 points. She won her third Defensive Player of the Year award, her record fourth MVP award, and was Finals MVP and led the Las Vegas Aces to their third championship in 4 years. And they had the fantastic winning streak there in the regular season. Here's the thing. She is the only player in the NBA or WNBA to win a championship, a scoring title, league MVP, Finals MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. And she's only the fourth pro player ever in NBA or WNBA history to win 4 league MVP titles before the age of 30. The others, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and LeBron James. And that's why she is the Time Athlete of the Year. A'ja Wilson gets our moment of awe. We appreciate our guests for today. We appreciate you stopping by as well. Make it a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at SportsIQ LS. We'll see you next time.